One of the worst things that can ever happen to a person is for them to live their entire lives and not know the truth. There's this woman out there, and she's been in a relationship with a guy for a really long time, and one day, just going about her normal day, she runs into him with another woman, and after a very heated exchange, she asks the woman, "How long has he been seeing you?" And she says, "What do you mean? He's my husband." And she says, "For how long?" And the other woman says, "Well, he's been my husband for about 10 plus years." And after this, she realized that the guy was living a double life and that he really didn't love her. He was just using her for his own personal gain. How was she supposed to feel about that? She's been living a lie for like years and years. That hurt her, and that hurt her really deeply. What is the truth? Winston Churchill, in the midst of wartime during World War II, said this: "Truth is so precious that she should always be guarded by a bodyguard of lies." Why is truth so valuable that it should be always guarded by a bodyguard of lies? Why is it so hard to find the truth? More importantly, what is the truth anyway? And the truth is this: truth is a statement that reflects and is consistent with reality. Truth is a statement that reflects and is consistent with reality. And before we can even ask the most important question that our hearts been longing for, that question that we've been wanting the answers to for our entire lives, the question of why. What's the purpose of our lives? What's the purpose of your life? What's the purpose of my life? What is the purpose of life? Before we can even answer that question, we'll first have to understand what reality is. What's the truth about reality? And we can understand it in 4 categories: evil, justice, love, and forgiveness. Evil, justice, love, and forgiveness. The first thing is evil. Back in World War II, during the Nazis had these death and concentration camps. And some of the evil things that they did is unimaginable today. Sometimes they would take trucks of alive babies piled on top of each other, just like wood. And they would take these babies and throw them into the fire, alive or dead. Sometimes they rip their ligaments apart. They would take thousands, well, 400 to 700 people still alive into these rooms, these gas chambers. And once they locked them in there, they would tell them first, just to get them in there, that they're just taking a shower. Because they smelled so bad. They smelled like a combination of urine, feces, rotten decay, sweat, anything you could think of. It smelled horrible. So they were happy to take a shower. So once the Nazis told them that they were going to take a shower, they gladly piled up into these rooms. Little did they know that it was a gas chamber. And the Nazis threw gas in there, locked the rooms, and these people would cry out for like 20 minutes because this gas would just be so painful. So painful. And the Nazis would just sit there and they would listen. 20 minutes go by, they've all just suffocated and they would die. Sometimes they didn't even go that far. They just threw people into a building, locked the building up, set it on fire, and people died that way. If you go back and look at the pictures, you can see people trying to scrape their way out by trying to dig a hole or something like that to get out, but it was too late. All of them dead. The Nazis would walk around the camp and they would randomly shoot people. There's this guy named Leslie. I hope he's still alive, but he is a World War II survivor of the Auschwitz concentration camp. And he said that one day when he was working, this guy, he just like straightened his back and bow, shot back of the head. Why? Leslie asked the guy who shot him why. And the guy said, "You are here to work, not to straighten your back." The Nazis committed the most evil things we can ever think of. That is very, very, very evil. There's no other word that we can describe what they've done in the past. We only could say that it's evil. And we look at these situations and we sometimes forget that the Nazis were just human beings. They were normal people just like you and I. And we look at them and we forget that the evil that they had is the same evil that's in our hearts. We are evil too. The Bible says that there's three things that evil comes from: pride, lust, and greed. Pride, lust, and greed. And we all have these three things in our hearts. And we all have to deal with these on a regular basis, because there's still murder out there. There's still rape out there. There's still people committing all these crimes out there that we will see that is inhumane. And we all deal with this on a regular basis. But the thing is, each and every one of us is capable of doing evil, from the smallest evil to the greatest. And we have to deal with this. And we have to deal with this every single day. The next thing is justice. There is a young boy named Hujit in China in 1996. He heard a woman being raped in a public restaurant. And after trying to stop the rape, he called the police. And once the police got there, they arrested him for the rape of the woman. Then they sentenced him to death by firing squad and killed him. And years later, the rapist came and confessed to the rape. And then the government sent the family of Hujit only about $5,000. $5,000 for one life. $5,000 for one life. Where is the justice? There's murderers, there's rapists, there's thieves out there that live amongst us all the time, and they are not held accountable for the things that they've done to other people, to us in this environment. They've not been held accountable for that. Where's the justice? There's people that's sentenced to life in prison, even to death. Innocent people. Where's the justice? And Ravi Zacharias sums it up, this situation, beautifully in this. A man claimed innocence, but the system found him guilty. Does the truth even matter? Where is the justice? And this is our reality. There's injustice amongst us, and we have to live with it. Evil, justice, the next thing is love. C.S. Lewis tells us that there are 4 types of love. There's agape love, there's storge, phileo, and eros. Agape love is godly love. It's unconditional, it's sacrificial. Storge is parental love. Eros is sexual, romantic love. And phileo is brotherly or friendship love. And the thing about love is that you cannot have storge, eros, or phileo love without first understanding what agape love is, that godly love, that unconditional, sacrificial love. And if we don't understand that, and if we don't have that as our foundation, then we misuse and abuse the other 3 forms of love. Let me give you an example of storge love, for instance. Now, in 1989, once the Romanian government was overthrown, they had left hundreds and thousands of little children, orphans, in their orphanages. And researchers came back some years later, and they realized that something was really wrong with these kids. They would go to the corners and ball themselves up and rock back and forth because they didn't have the parental love in their lives. They've grown to have mental and emotional problems as adults because they didn't have the parental love in their lives. It's crucial. It's important. We need that parental love, that storge love, because if we don't, then we'll end up just like those orphans. Just like those orphans. They have to comfort themselves and they lack human connection. Another one, Eros love. What happens when you take Eros love out of the context of agape love? What happens? You get people that want to get their romantic and sexual energy out and use it with people that doesn't want it. This is how you get the rapists. This is how you get the sexual harassment. Those people don't understand, they fail to understand what unconditional sacrificial love is, which you care about the other person more than yourself, and you have enough self-control to control your sexual energy in respect of not harming other people. But if the rapist would have known that, that rapist wouldn't have gone out and raped a person. They failed to understand what agape love is. We cannot have storge, phileo, and eros love without understanding what agape love is, what that sacrificial, godly, and unconditional love is. We need to understand agape love first. Evil, justice, love, and last but not least, forgiveness. We've all done some really, really bad things in the past that we regret, myself included. And if we were to put those things on a projector, a really wide screen for the world to see, we will all be holding our heads down in shame. Because the things that we've done are just horrible. We're embarrassed by it. We're ashamed by it. I'm definitely ashamed at some moments in my past. The only thing is, who can truly forgive us of those? Who can truly forgive us of those? We need forgiveness. We absolutely need it. It's essential. Evil, justice, love, and forgiveness. Evil, justice, love, and forgiveness. All of these things came to a head at one moment, one place, called Calvary Hill. Ravi Zacharias puts it wonderfully as that. Evil, justice, love, and forgiveness all came to one place at one moment in time on Calvary Hill with the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Jesus, the only good person, completely pure, completely innocent of absolutely anything, was unjustly put on the cross. And he went there willingly out of sacrificial love, that agape love. He went there willingly because he loved us and he understood that we've all done some really, really evil, wicked things, the smallest to the greatest things. And he went to the cross and was crucified because he loved us. And he forgave us with his death. He forgave us of all the wrongdoing that we've done by dying on the cross for us. Evil, justice, love, and forgiveness. Evil, justice, love, and forgiveness. All can be summed up with Jesus Christ. All can be summed up with Jesus Christ. How do we find the truth? Scooby Doo, my favorite television series, hands down. Anyone that knows me knows that I love Scooby Doo. It is all about finding the truth. It starts off by each and every episode finding clues, and these clues, they add up to the end of the episode where they reveal the person behind the mask. And all the clues add up to who that person is. This is what philosophers call the law of correspondence and the law of coherence. The law of correspondence is this: when the individual statements, details, or facts, they correspond to reality. That's the law of correspondence. the law of coherence, and when all these detailed facts and statements, when you put them all together, they add up and they're coherent. They make sense and they explain the world that we have or the situation that we have today. Detectives, they use these two laws. Anyone seeking the truth uses these two laws in order to find what is absolutely true. But what is truth? What is the capital T truth? The absolute truth, the objective truth. And if anyone tells me that there is no objective truth, that there is no absolute truths, this is what I would tell that person. Is it absolutely true that there are no absolute truths? There are absolute objective truths out there. If we were going to go up to a building, a 20-story building, and we look down, it's concrete, and you said, hey, we can both agree, right, that there are no absolute truths. So, if you were to fall right now, just jump off and hit the concrete, no resistance. It's not absolutely true that you're going to die. Tell a person that says there is no absolute truths. Because it's absolutely true that if you were to jump off a 20-story building with no resistance and hit the concrete flat, that you are going to die. Most likely. You're going to die. Gravity, hello. But what is truth? What is the absolute truth, the objective truth? And Pontius Pilate, he asked this question to God himself during the trial of Jesus Christ. To God himself. He walked up to Jesus and he said, what is truth? And I wish he would have stayed for the answer, but he didn't. He turned his back and he walked away. But he had the opportunity to ask God himself, what is truth? And thankfully, Jesus gives us the answer. And the truth is this. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. The objective, the absolute truth, Jesus. Jesus gives us all the answers. All the answers that we need in our lives, that our heart's been asking since the beginning of time. He gives us all these answers. Okay? Not that if you ask, like, what's 1 plus 1? Like, pretty sure that answer is in the Bible. But, like, practical things about today, like, hey, what is the terminal velocity of a robin? Like, no, that's way too specific. I'm talking about the questions about the meaning of our lives, the origin of our lives, our destiny, and what is good, what is evil. Those essential questions that are the foundation of everything else, our reality. Those questions. Jesus gives us the answers to those questions. So if you're still a student and you write on your test that Jesus is the answer because you don't know the answer to the question, for me, it's a 50-50 chance that you'll get credit for the question. I've done that many times when I didn't know an answer. But Jesus gives us those answers. And everything that he says, they are according to the law of correspondence. Everything that he says is corresponds to reality. And when you add up all those details, those statements, those facts, they explain what we have today. The law of coherence. They explain that. And we can test these things even till today. We can observe them. They're relevant to our lives now. And they're logically consistent. And once again, Jesus gives us all the answers to where we came from, what is the meaning of our lives, what is good, what is evil, and what happens to us after we die. Those questions he gives us the answers to. He gives us the answers to those questions. All we have to do is listen. That is the truth. That's the truth that we've all been searching for. Jesus. And I end with this. If you want to find the truth, if you want to live a life that is in the light and not in the darkness, that's in the truth and not in deceit, I heavily suggest to you that you start to ask yourself questions and you begin a life of a pursuit of truth. I heavily suggest that to you. And I could tell you this. Out of my pursuit for truth so far, there's not one worldview, one belief system, or one religion that explains the truth to the question that are in our hearts, the questions that are in our hearts. That gives us the truth that is logically consistent, that we can test, that's observable to today, and that is relevant to today, about the questions about origin, meaning, destiny, and morality. Not one worldview, not one belief system, not one religion can give us that answer, the truth, the truthful answer, except for Jesus Christ. Except for Christianity, the Christianity that was around in the times of Jesus. That Christianity. Where Christianity originated from. That, right there, the times of Jesus. That Christianity. No other worldview, no other belief, no other religion can give us the answer but Jesus. But Jesus. And in your search for the truth, I go ahead and give you the answer to one of the most important questions. What is the purpose of our lives? What is the purpose of our lives? And the purpose is this: to have a fulfilling relationship with God. That is our purpose.